There's a big heavyweight fight on today too at the Adelaide Oval. And of course, if you trace it back to a breakout day for the AFLW competition, it's probably this day, March 31st, 2019. It was a record crowd for any women's sports event in the country at that stage, 53,000, as Erin Phillips and the Crows got it done. It was a day to savour as they fought off the Blues. And it just showed already how far the AFLW had come, and it's continued to progress. And that is where the AFLW Grand Final today will also be played. It may not quite have that number of people, but it's going to be huge again at the Adelaide Oval. And so we thought we'd go to the expert, one of the stars of the competition, unfortunately, Darcy Vescio, who was playing on that day. Probably doesn't necessarily want to be reminded about it because it didn't end that well for the Blues, but she's been good enough to join us. Darcy, thanks for your time. It's obviously a huge day for the AFLW yet again, and Adelaide have just been an extraordinary team since the start, and Brisbane, who really lost a lot of players and don't have the big names that some of the other teams do, just found a way to win all year.
Yeah, Adelaide has been a powerhouse for a long time now. So, they definitely deserve to be there today. But we've seen Brisbane, they've been very consistent the whole time throughout the competition, and I think they're a great team. So, it's going to be a tight game today.
Darcy, can you explain to me? I'm going through the lists and going through the teams, and I noticed that the Brisbane team's got I think 5 girls over 180 centimetres. A very tall team compared to the opposition. Is it like at the men's? Does the height count as much in the girls' football, in the female football? Does that really play any significant role?
Oh, as a short girl myself, I'd like to think height's not too much of an issue, but obviously it's helpful. But I think that skill and the way you play the game is more important at this stage than height. But I'm sure Brisbane will try to use it to their advantage. But yeah, I don't think it's too much of an issue.
Yeah, I always had the theory that a good big man will beat a good little man unless the little man is Cyril Rioli. So unless the little person is Darcy Vescio. There you go.
Hey, Darcy, I want to talk about the Carlton season because there's a lot being made, missing the finals. Daniel Harfer's the coach. Are you part of the push to oust Daniel Harfer as senior coach of the Carlton Football Club or not? Just want to get that on the record if we can.
Oh, no, I love Harf. I think
You're the only one.
No, he's upstairs getting ready to call the game. So I just thought I'd give him a bit of a drive-by. But it was a disappointing season in the end for Carlton.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing. I think looking back, it feels like we had an almost season. We came very close in 3 or 4 games, and if those results had have gone the other way, then we'd be in a different position come finals. But, if you don't play your best footy, then you can't expect to be in finals. So we'll use it for next year.
Darcy, we talked about the profiles, I guess, broadly of the two teams. I mean, Erin Phillips, what she's done is just extraordinary. No Chelsea Randall. How do you think this game plays out today?
Well, I think obviously Chelsea's been a great player for so long, and she's a massive part of the Adelaide team. So I think their defence will really have to stand up. She provides so much rebound, and she's just a spectacular player. So I think all the girls are really disappointed that Chelsea can't take the field today, but obviously her head's more important. I think it'll be a really tight game. I think Brisbane are the sort of team that they put a lot of effort into shutting down their opposition. So obviously Craig Starcevich will be looking to shut down big players like Erin Phillips, Hatchard, Marinoff. But I've got a feeling that Brisbane will be able to get up just because they've been so consistent. But yeah, Adelaide are hard to stop at Adelaide Oval. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fans there for the Adelaide girls. So it'll be a great contest, but I think Brisbane might get up.
All right, so you're going for the Lions, so that's a little bit of a surprise, even though they're away from home. Just before we finish, you're part of a campaign. We saw you on. We saw the launch of this during the week, of course. I know with Chloe Malloy and Monique Conti, and it's a brilliant initiative. Part of, I guess, what we're celebrating in a way is just how far AFLW has come. But alarmingly, the stats tell us that 60% of Australian women aged 18 and over aren't meeting their physical activity guidelines. So, what's the Rise Up and Reconnect campaign?
Yeah, it's a great initiative from Special K, and it's pretty much all about getting women to reconnect with a sport they might have lost touch with. So that might be a sport they've played growing up or a sport they've always wanted to try. So it's just about getting back into I guess, a sporting environment. It's always great to reconnect with friends, meet new people.
Well, it's a great campaign. We wish you all the best with it. We wish you all the best with the off-season and trying to oust half, even though she won't say it publicly.
Good
I'm
luck
sure
with
she's part
Well,
of it.
if you don't, we'll try.
Yeah, all right. Hey, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys, and send my best to half.
Darcy Vescio there, joining us and going for the away team of the Brisbane Lions against a big home crowd supporting Adelaide.